Welcome back, everyone. If you have not heard by now, the Lakers have officially hired their new head coach, with that being Darvin Ham. And although that is only one step in the reconstruction of their new team, it's a very good indicator of what kind of identity they're trying to build. Darvin Ham is regarded as a tough, defensive-minded coach who, despite never being a head coach before, is known for his capability to work with star players and to not back down from them either. He had been the lead assistant coach for Milwaukee for a number of years now, and if their team can give us any indication of what kind of players he prefers to coach, it would have to be with ones who are committed to playing defense and all around play with 100% effort, which could potentially help the Lakers revert back to their old identity. And as we know, that identity has the ability to create a championship formula. So in today's video, we're going to create what I believe to be an ideal roster to put around new head coach Darvin Ham. This will very likely end up being a longer video than usual though, so let's dive right into it. And to begin, we need to review their financial situation, as we'll be working very closely with it throughout the video. With the way their team is currently put together, the Lakers have already gone over both the salary cap and luxury tax threshold, which would once again have them operating as a tax-paying team. But in my opinion, it would be nearly impossible to build a championship caliber team around their quote-unquote big three, as they simply do not have enough spending power to put enough depth behind them. And the only way around that would be to offload the contract of Russell Westbrook, which we are eventually going to do. But first, we need to review the team options that they have available to them. Now, I don't think we need to spend time talking about their two player options, as both Kendrick Nunn and Westbrook are practically guaranteed to opt in, but there is a debate about what they should do with their team options. And the three players who have them are Wenyen Gabriel, Austin Reeves, and Stanley Johnson, all of which were able to make a good impression and have a strong argument to be brought back. They might be able to find an upgrade over Wenyen Gabriel or Stanley Johnson if they are lucky, but if you have been keeping up with my channel for a while now, you know how much I value team continuity, and that is why we are going to be bringing back all three of them. I think we can all agree that Austin Reeves would be a no-brainer, but even Wenyen Gabriel and Stanley Johnson could be valuable to them as well. With their team options out of the way though, now moving on to making that Westbrook trade that I mentioned before, and here we have a potential deal with the Orlando Magic. However, this trade would not simply be a salary cap dump, even though the Magic will have roughly $29 million in available cap room. That is not our only goal here. In fact, we are going to be targeting a young player here as well, with that being Mo Bamba, and we are going to do that by acquiring him through a sign and trade. This deal would include Westbrook, a future first, and second round pick going to Orlando, and then Mo Bamba and Terrence Ross being dealt to the Lakers. In order to make the trade work financially, Terrence Ross would have to be included, and his $11.5 million expiring contract would make this trade work perfectly. He does not hold a ton of trade value following an underwhelming year, but at the same time, he could actually be a pretty good fit for the team we are building. Now, we would have to give up a first round draft pick here, but I think it would be worth it, because not only are we getting a young, good-fitting big to pair with Anthony Davis and Mo Bamba, but we have now gotten significantly below the hard cap as well, which will now become a very important term and money line for us to follow moving forward, because after making a sign and trade, we have now become hard capped. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, the hard cap is a financial barrier that dictates what form of the mid-level exception that a team can use. In addition to that, it also controls whether a team has the ability to use their biannual exception at all or not as well, both of which are very valuable contracts for a team over the salary cap. The hard cap is currently projected to be set at roughly $155.7 million, and the rules for it are pretty simple. If you are hard capped, you cannot exceed that amount when filling out your 15-man roster. Luckily for us though, after making that trade with the Orlando Magic, we are now significantly under the hard cap, and we will not have any trouble filling out our team. At this point, we have 9 total players on our roster, and we have both the mid-level and biannual exception left to use. But before we do that, we are going to make one more trade. Now, I don't think it would be a horrible idea to keep Talen Horton-Tucker on this team, but with how many shooting guards we are accumulating, I think we need to get a little bit bigger. And in order to do that, we are going to trade him to the Sacramento Kings for Justin Holiday, Trey Lyles, and a future second round draft pick, which would provide us with the additional height and length that we are looking for. Holiday can play and defend positions 1 through 3, and then Trey Lyles can play at either the 4 or even at the 5 in a small ball lineup. It would be making a win now kind of move, with Horton-Tucker maybe having some unlocked potential yet, but I think the fit of Holiday and Lyles could be too good to pass up here. With both of them on the team though, we now have 10 total players on our roster. The remaining spots will be filled through free agency, and our mid-level exception will now be going to Gary Harris, a guy who many Laker fans have been wanting for about half a year now. Gary Harris could be a great fit for this team. He could fill the role that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope left after being traded. He would essentially be their primary wing defender, and then when combined with Justin Holiday, they could create a very good defensive backcourt. However, after trading away both Westbrook and Horton-Tucker, I know what you might be thinking. Who is going to be the backup point guard for this team? And well, I actually have a couple of different options for that. For one, we already have Kendrick Nunn, Justin Holiday, and Austin Reeves on the team, all of which have played at point guard before. But if you still think that they need more point guard depth even after them, or a more reliable one anyways, a free agent point guard that I really like happens to be DeLon Wright, who could very likely be had with the biannual exception. Not only can he be a primary ball handler and initiate an offense, but DeLon Wright is a great defender too, which would make him a great fit for the team we are building here. However, even though I am a big fan of DeLon Wright, I think we already have enough point guard depth here, but I do think we could use one more wing defender. And that could be addressed by adding Taurean Prince rather than DeLon Wright, who could add more height, length, and overall 3-and-D ability to their team. No, he may not be a lockdown defender, but he would be the guy to defend the bigger wings that Gary Harris and Justin Holiday cannot, and that alone could be worth giving him the biannual exception. Following the addition of Taurean Prince though, all we have left to work with are veteran minimum contracts, and the first one will be going to Damian Jones, a former Laker, and one who could provide great frontcourt depth behind Mo Bamba and Anthony Davis. Damian Jones would be a great fit for this team. He would help provide more rim protection, be another lob threat for them, and might even be able to add some shooting too, all of which would be an absolute luxury to have at backup center. He might be looking for a bit more than a minimum contract here, but with a fairly large role being offered, I think it might be enough to get his attention. For our final minimum contract though, we're going to give it to Dwight Howard, and his role would pretty much be to keep everyone on the team happy, be a positive locker room presence, and to only play whenever needed to. Unfortunately, not everyone in your team can play in every game, and you need a couple of guys who know that, but rather than getting mad about it, we'll continue to be positive and bring good energy on the bench. And we all know Dwight Howard can do that. With that being said though, I'm going to leave the final spot on our roster for the buyout market. But if I had to pick one more guy up, it would probably have to be Jevon Carter. He is already familiar with Darvin Ham and could likely be influenced to join their team from that alone. And if they would not be able to get DeLon Wright, Jevon Carter could be a great backup plan for a minimum contract. But with all of that being said, that will conclude my ideal offseason for the Lakers following the addition of Darvin Ham. Now, I know that we did not re-sign Malik Monk here, which a few of you probably are not a big fan of, but I don't think he would be a very good fit for this team. Other than that though, what do you guys think? How do you like the team that we built here? Do you think it's perfect? Or what might you change about it? Let me know your thoughts by commenting down below and we can talk about it there. That will do it for this video though. Big thank you to those of you who took the time to watch until the end of this video, and until the end of all of my videos in general. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and turn on notifications to get notified right away when I drop a new video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.